Good morning. Good morning, all. Welcome. Welcome to this first session of medical professionals working and gaining visa entry to the United Kingdom. My name's Jennifer Obaseki, and you would have either registered for this event through Eventbrite or maybe directly off my Facebook page. I work at a firm based in the United Kingdom called Obaseki Solicitors, and we've been going now for quite a long time, over 16 years, I'm proud to say. And I have a very wonderful team of colleagues who help in all areas of law, mainly immigration, property, commercial, as well as social welfare-based subjects. And the beauty of our practice is we have solicitors and lawyers who are of different jurisdictions. So we have lawyers qualified in the United Kingdom, as well as those who are qualified in Europe. And also we have two that work in Asia. So one from the Malaysian South Pacific and one in Hong Kong. And we are hoping to have our office open in Hong Kong now to also serve our Asian clientele. So today's topic was one that I felt very urgent to be done due to the fact that I heard of the story of a number of doctors who were trying to leave the United Kingdom to come and work in the UK, and they were wrongly advised and their flight was stopped from leaving West Africa. And it became incumbent upon me that as much as in the UK, we need medical services professionals here, especially because there's a shortage all around Europe, by the way, it becomes curious as to why those professionals are easily misled into how the process works in converting your qualifications and gaining your visas to come into the United Kingdom. So in order to help those wonderfully needed medical professionals come to the UK and travel out, I put together a wonderful panel of amazing speakers who I'm glad to say at very short notice honored the request to do this seminar for you. And we have them on board. I'm checking to see if one has joined who was a bit delayed, but let me see if she's on. And then I also have Mr. Matthew Odia in the background. So first of all, I have Professor Rotimi Jayasimi, who is a professor. If you've seen the Eventbrite, you would have seen he has an extensive profile, and we are absolutely grateful that he's able to join us today. And he'll be talking to you about how you progress your career further. It's so important that you don't remain stagnant as professionals, that you also look to elevate yourselves. It's key, okay? Because one can become quite grateful once they arrive in the UK, the opportunity, the change of culture, but you might forget yourself, and you mustn't forget yourself wherever you're placed. We also have Mary, and I hope she's in the waiting room. If she is here, please raise your hand. And Mary has an amazing organization called Zenith Healthcare. And she established it to help celebrate a number of the professionals who often get overlooked. Maybe because they've not been acknowledged in their fields. So she created an award ceremony for them, and also a scheme where she passed over information, spotlighted teams who have done incredibly well here. And she also does training. And then after Mary speaks, I will do a short session, and I'll talk about the visas, things that you need, also things around the visas, around your dependents, what you do also when you want to extend, and how you can try and achieve a position of settlement. And then finally, we will have Miss Ruth Oshinkalu, who is also an MBE. She's a multi-award winning nurse, also with a doctorate title, and I honestly am inspired by her anytime I hear her speak. And these wonderful panelists will be able to answer your questions. They might not get all of your questions today, but the important thing is that you ask the questions. We pledge succinctly to hand them over. And then if you do need their handouts, we will put in the request for you. So without much further ado, I will check again to see if Mary is here. I haven't seen her hand in the chat raised at all, but I will double check on my phone to see if she's late. But if she is late, then we may start with Professor Jayasimi. So let's just see if she's here. I think she may have trouble joining, but she says joining. So let me just check. In the meantime, you can begin to ask your questions. If you put them in the chat, they'll be highlighted to me, not just in the chat, but also on my phone. And remember, please, if as you're not speaking, do remember to mute your microphone. Okay. As we haven't got Mary just at the moment, what I would ask is that we start with Professor Jayasimi, if that's possible. Is that okay? Great. Can you all hear him? Great.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can see you nodding, so that means yes, you can hear me. Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Yes.
Lovely. Good afternoon to all participants, as well as to the panelists. I would like to thank Obaseki Solicitors for this kind invitation to speak to you about mentorship and career progression. Today's talk is just going to be like a taster because talking about mentorship can take more than the allocated 15 minutes, but this is just to introduce you to it. As you've been told, I'm a gynecologist, a consultant in one of the hospitals in the United Kingdom, and as well as the Associate Medical Director for Patient Safety. And in addition to that, I'm an adjunct professor of law at the University of Now we all have dreams. And when you leave your country of origin and arrive in the United Kingdom, as Jennifer had said, yes, that's part of your dreams fulfilled, but that's the beginning of your journey in the United Kingdom. Most people would have had their qualifications, they may have had long experience in their field of practice, but the key thing is the difference in the environment you find yourself, not just the temperature, the culture, the way of doing things, and the road to travel, as well as the profession, what the profession expects of you. And that's what I call professionalism. So we do have that dream, but what usually happens is that a lack of understanding at times leads us into problems. And today's seminar is to try and help us navigate the system so that we do not get into trouble and so that we also achieve our dreams. Now, you might say, what is mentorship? Now, it's a relationship between two people, and it's focused on helping one of the parties, that is the mentee, to grow and develop, especially in the area of their career, seeing career development as well as progression. Most people have a mentality of, oh, you're now here, you get in a salary, uh, hide your head under the sand, and they just dampen your aspiration to progress to your maximum potential. Yes, there's a glass ceiling in this society, but unless you aspire to get there, and unless you work towards getting there, it's going to be difficult to achieve what your ultimate dream is. And that is where mentorship comes into place. A mentor is somebody who you trust. The person doesn't need to be older. It could be a younger person, somebody who has the experience, somebody who has gone through the system and know the system inside out. So what they do is to guide you through the journey, your professional journey, and provide support in a reflective environment. And one of the things I would say at this point in time is that quite a number of NHS hospitals have formal mentoring schemes. And I will advise you, irrespective of what profession you are, whether you're a doctor, occupational therapist, a nurse, whatever discipline you are in, do get a mentor. And it doesn't really have to be in your area of field. The person mentoring you doesn't really have to be in your field. And like I said, he or she could be older or younger. Now, in trying to, we're all professionals, and that's what you're going to be judged by. And what gets most professionals into trouble in the United Kingdom is because they break the code of practice. Every discipline has its own code of practice. Doctors have their own, nurses and midwives have their own, lab scientists have their own. And I will please advise you, one of the first things you should do is to read and understand and comply with the code of practice. I have also said about professional boundaries. I did work for the GMC for about 13 years. And one of the things that came across was that at times we bring a culture or a behavior from where we come from to the United Kingdom. You must draw professional boundaries between yourself and your clients, that is your patients. I refer to sexual relationship or intimacy. It is not allowed in the United Kingdom, and it gets a lot of people into trouble when they go beyond those boundaries. I will also, talking from a professional point of view, ask, you get appraised every year, or you may even have a 6-monthly meeting with the line manager to see how well you're doing. So you must prepare for it. You cannot fail an appraisal. It's a building process. So make sure you collect enough data, enough things you do, courses you go to, lectures you present, and they form part of your portfolio. Now, when you're in the United Kingdom, it's important what I call soft skills or your non-technical skills. Good communication is important. Looking at the person who you're talking to directly into the face. I'm not saying stare into the face, but don't look down. When you look down, they think you're timid, they think you're hiding something. So good communication is important. And how do you improve yourself? Now, we cannot all speak the same way. What I advise people to do is listen to newscasters, how they talk, how they project their voices when they are speaking. We will not be perfect, but we can be better if we do have issues with communication. And not only orally, but also written communication. communication, documentation is very, very important in your practice. And one of the things we also fall short of in the United Kingdom when you come in here to practice, and which can hinder your career progression, is if you are labeled as somebody who comes to meetings very late, comes to work late. There's no African time, there's no Asian time, so please make sure you keep to time. I will just digress a little bit. When a meeting is supposed to start at 2, it doesn't mean you should get there at 2. Ideally, get there 1:45. Give yourself 15 minutes. When you meet a friend on the corridor, don't stop to chat, because that's going to eat into your time. Tell the person you'll see them later on so that you don't get late. Now, the question is, where do you want to be? The opportunities are many. It could be as a clinician in whatever you're doing, or you may want to become a manager or a researcher or an academician. And the interesting thing or important thing is that medicine and nursing and other allied healthcare professionals, they are an apprenticeship. Now, riding a bicycle, you need to be shown how to do it. If you want to go to Scotland, you need your Google map. So mentorship is similar to that. Somebody who's been there, somebody who knows the way. And there are different aspects to mentorship. And if you look at the diagram there, it talks about direction, it talks about improvement, it talks about setting goals, success at the end of the journey. You have to learn, be inspirational in what you do, show leadership skills, and all of this you require training. Nobody becomes perfect without going through a journey, without going through training, without practicing. And like I said, build your portfolio. You know where you want to go, you know what you want to become. One of the things I would advise is when you receive your professional magazines or journals, you look at the jobs, band 8 nursing or band 7 or consultant posts. Look at the desirable qualifications on those job adverts. It will point you in the direction you should go if you want to become a manager or if you want to become a clinician. And one of the things most of us don't do is to learn continuously. Very important, continuous learning. And when you go for programs or meetings, write down 1 or 2 things, take away home messages that you have learned at the program you've gone to, whether it's internal in the hospital, where you've got to set SMART objectives. You have to be specific in what you want to do, where you want to get to, the zenith of your profession, the pinnacle of your profession. Now, these things have got to be measurable. Make sure that you know how to, at the end of each year, you get assessed. So they have key performance indicators that they use to assess you. I have tried to put about 6 P's there. You as a person is important in your career progression. The way you present yourself, appearances do matter. First appearances creates an image, and that's the way you dress, the way you relate to people. And professionalism, be a professional to the core, and progress, be aspirational. And like I said earlier on, you need a pilot, somebody to guide you, somebody to hold your hand, somebody to pull you up. And in your relationship, in your hospital, you have colleagues, junior and seniors. I put them there as peers. Be professional, respect them. To your patients, again, the culture is different. I always say the patient is king. So make sure you treat your patients well, with dignity. Ask them questions. Involve them in their decision making. The culture I come from is doctor knows best. No, it doesn't obtain in this place. The body belongs to the patient, and they decide what you should do or what can be done to their body. So patient involvement is center. And I've put the public there because we do have, I mean, as an individual, I have a family. What happens to me will have an impact on them. So in the National Health Service, we involve the family as well. So you're not only looking after the patient, but you must take into consideration their family. So you will hear of the friends and family test. It's about involving patients and their family in the treatment or in the management that you are giving them. I'm just going to pause a little bit because I can see that 10 people, it says the event.
If you can please try to admit them. Thank you. And then when you finish, you make me host back. Thank you.
I think that, let me see. Yes, I have admitted them.
Thank you.
So I think I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Your profile is important. Don't be in the face of people. Be the best you can. You are wonderfully made. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will do. So just to summarize, get a mentor. They will guide you. They will hold you. It could be a short-term relationship. It could be a long-term relationship. But my message to you, to get to the top of your career, climbing that ladder, you need people to support you. And in doing so, you will succeed. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sure we will take questions. And just to tell you, in this COVID times, it's important. Just that's a reminder. I'm sure most of us know what to do. Wear your mask and undertake the non-pharmaceutical measures that we hear day and day. So I want to thank Jennifer and her team for inviting me to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm most grateful. Professor Jayasimi, if you can please click on my name so that you remake me host, if that's possible. And then I'll be able to go on to the next speaker who can talk about the conversions, and that'll be great. Mary, if you're now in the session, can you please raise your hand so I know you're here?
Can you see that?
Yes.
At last.
At last. Now I'm going to make you host because people are quite anxious as to how they do the conversions. Welcome. I'm sorry you were in the waiting room.
Oh, it's okay.
Once you finish, then I'll be able to please ask that you make me host, and then we proceed from there. And if you can, do your introduction so that people know exactly who you are and all about your wonderful organization. So let me just get you as listed as host. Thank you. And thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you.
Okay, so is somebody going to upload my slides?
Do you have it on your system? Because I've made you host. Or would you like me to, I can equally go through your slides for you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right then, brilliant. Let me just continue.
I can look for it.
No, that's fine. I've got them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she says. Let's see. Okay. Mary, I have them up for you.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Can you all see the screen, please?
Yeah, but it's not my slide. We are seeing the screen, but it's something else.
Oh, let's see.
Hello?
You're on Facebook.
Oh dear, we can't be on Facebook. Just 1 second. Let me get this. Are we seeing it now?
Actually, 1 minute.
Are you seeing it now, Professor?
Yes, we can.
Okay, brilliant.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I was going to do it from my end.
No,
You
that's
just
fine.
need to click on presentation mode. Show the slides from the beginning. Excellent.
I think she's got it now.
There you
Yeah.
go. Okay, you can go ahead, please. But introduce yourself first, please.
Okay. All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ruth, Prof, Jennifer, and Tim. Thanks for inviting me. And hi to everyone on the webinar. It's my pleasure to be here. And it's a passion of mine as well, being a product of what they call us now, internationally educated nurses. We used to be nurses trained abroad. Then we became overseas nurses. My name is Mary Akangbe. I'm a specialist practitioner in minimally invasive surgery and president founder at Zenith Global Health. At Zenith Global Health, we are passionate about collaboration, shared learning, and celebrating the amazing work that healthcare professionals do globally. So thank you for having me. Let's go. Like I said, I'm a product of internationally educated nurses. In those days, it used to be that you get a student D visa from a British post. So actually, I got mine from Ireland, I think. Yeah. So you get a so if you've been in the country in those days, you don't need to go out as long as you can get your student D visa from a British post and then find somewhere to do your adaptation and then find work. Then we used to go to the UKCC and they give you a decision letter, which will say you can do it for 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, depending on your transcript and where you have trained. And you see, although the wordings, the slang, everything is different now, but the process is still more or less the same. Because now you do your IELTS, you do your computer-based test, and then you fill out the eligibility forms and register through NMC, right? And then you still have to find your work permit. And I've put double asterisks here because I see there's a lot of hype around IELTS and this BCT. And so it's important to know that NMC will only go through your eligibility, make sure your transcripts are right, make sure you have your everything in place, and then they will double check. I'm going to come to that when I come to actually securing the visa and difference between sponsorship, employment title visa, and the impact on your stay in the country. Okay, so it's good to know that when you've done all of that and everything is ready, don't let anybody tell you that you are good to go and you can get to the UK and start working. It doesn't work like that. So once you do, now there are some updates. The score used to be 7. They've lied it to 5. Don't ask me why, but I think we all have an idea why they've done that. And again, it's to entice. It's because, yes, there is shortage, but we need to be mindful because there's a lot of people, especially those with sponsors licenses, that we use all of this to tell you, oh yeah, everything is in place. Oh, and For every success story, there are hundreds of unsuccessful stories. All the people you see that say, oh, I passed yesterday and I've got a job, train their pictures at the airport and all the rest of it, they are all for marketing, okay? The success rate is not as high, and that's why you need to do your homework. Now, for the CBT and the IELTS, you've got 3 attempts within 6 months with 10 days interval. Now, again, with the OSCE, which is the later part of your getting on the register, actually, with the OSCE, the previous thing was that you have to complete your OSCE within 6 months, right? But now, again, for obvious reasons, it's dependent on trusts. And this is, well, I'm always involved from sometimes the beginning, from recruitment, and sometimes, especially in the last couple of years, I'm now involved more at the OSCE level. Because obviously, you know, other things are beginning to take more of my time. So with the OSCE, when you pass your eligibility, I'll call it test. People don't see it as test because it's something you upload online. I've got this, I've got that, I've got this. But it is a test because even when nothing is said to you and you put that in, you do your IELTS, you pass it, CBT, you passed it, they can still come back to you and say, actually, this and this, you know, is not there. Maybe simple things like your occupational health certificate is 2 days out of line, and then you are thrown into an array. That's why, again, you need to do your homework. You need to, if you are in the country already, find a reliable solicitor to guide you through that process. So you got 3 attempts. If you don't pass on the 3rd attempt, depending on where you are, at the NHS, they may let you go. Okay, and that is a great cost to you because they'll take all their money back. And sometimes if it's in the, then they give you, you have to rest and then do it again or start again. Okay, so it's not as straightforward as it is presented to us most of the time. Now, why is it dependent on trust now? There has been a high failure rate in OSCE. So you can imagine, from you're wanting to come to the country to getting a place that will say, okay, come on, we give you a Title visa, and these are the sponsors. I'm going to come to them in the next slide, I think. And then they get you that, and you do your OSCE 1, 2, 3 times, and you fail, you know, all of that time. You can imagine, that's like 2 years wasted. So now in my trust, what we do, we have a boot camp. Because one of the things, some of the things that we realize is that when people are brought in and, you know, they start their practical training that will lead them to the OSCE assessment, you come to the ward. I've been a nurse for 40 years. So let's say I'm on the ward now. I want to do my drugs round. I know where to put the keys. I know where to put the slide. Even the doctors might rely on me on doing some things. And you are shadowing me. You are watching me. So gradually you are picking all those bad habits. My handover, my observation and everything, I write it on a piece of paper and I sit down half an hour to hand over and input. Or I go in between, you know, but what the process says is at the end of each medication, each drug round, each assessment or observation, you enter your findings. That's what it says. But you've been watching me in your 4 months and that's what you see. So when you get to OSCE, you know, we are a creature of habits. That's what you do. I've just used that as an example. Okay, so because of that, we decide, and we decide that, okay, so what we'll do, we'll take them for 6 weeks and focus on what we need to see at OSCE, how it should be done. what is expected. And Ruth will be talking about the culture, the process later, just to tie into this and to help you actually know what is expected. And you know, the first time we did that, we had 100% pass rate. So that is something that we are looking at in Zenith as well, in helping organizations to put this together, because they mean well. It costs them anyway if you don't pass. So next one. Right. So the Title visas, if you are brought in by the NHS trust, they'll be responsible, they'll be accountable, because they'll say to you, we'll give you a job on band 3, by the way. It doesn't matter if you've been matron or director in the country where you are coming from. When you join that, you'll be on band 3. And that is what we pay our healthcare assistants. So they'll pay you that, and you'll be in the clinical area. They call you supernumerary, but in actual fact, you'll be doing most of the work. And that is why the problem with the fail rate comes in, okay? So, and sometimes I've seen people who had to leave and start again in another trust, you know, because they are just not coping. Now, please verify your agency and independent recruiters, because they may have sponsorship licenses, which some of them use to recruit people from abroad, right? But they may not have the ability to get you work permit. And they bring most people here on the promise that, oh, I'm in close relationship with this home or this hospital. I know Mary there. She's, you know, she's hot on recruitment and training and whatever. So they bring people here, and then sometimes they may allocate, but you find out that you went through everything, you did everything, and then you're stuck in the middle. So make sure you verify your agencies and independent recruiters. If you are recruited directly by an NHS trust, that's fine, okay? Although sometimes they, okay, I'll do that. Sometimes, okay, there's a lot of money involved in this, I must add, okay? Because typically with anything from Africa, they don't give you the true picture. It's like medical tourism. They'll say to you, oh, go to wherever, India, Dubai, you only need 2 million. Okay, they haven't included the price of accommodation, your test. If it goes wrong, it doesn't go right. So make sure you are financially independent to go through this process, because at every point, there's a fee. Even when you are being paid band 3, when you finish, depending on how and things like that, they will still take something out of your salary every month, okay? So it's good to bear that in mind. And I've put there that sponsorship does not guarantee you'll be allowed to come or to stay in the UK, okay? The reason I put nursing home versus NHS trust is that some nursing homes, they have the sponsorship and they can get you visas, but don't think you get there and then you start working as a nurse, or you'll be able to showcase your skills and knowledge. It doesn't work like that, okay? And it differs, you know. If you bring 5 people that trained in the nursing home in one room, they'll tell you 5 different experiences. I don't care how rosy they place their establishment, okay? So it's good to bear that in mind as well. For your physical, mental, and psychological health as well. You know, because knowing myself that I left Nigeria as a nursing sister in 1990, and I had to start as a 3rd-year student and then work my way back. It was seamless in those days. You know, you are here, they want you, you do this and you can. But now, not only is the competition keen, they know that you are, you know, you really want this. So it's not going to be handed over. So once, and again, the difference between NHS trust and nursing home is that in NHS, they have what we call transfer windows. So it may be that at interview, they tell you, say you are a public health nurse, for instance, or or a doctor or what, or a specialist in certain area, but they say to you, we've only got a space in geriatrics or a medical ward or whatever. Yes, you can come in because that is where they are desperate. But then they do some reorganization and there's what we call transfer window. I think once or twice a year we do that. So that transfer window means if you come in as a public health nurse or doctor, but there is space in theater or anywhere else, you can apply to transfer to that area. As long as you can show that you have the basic skills to go to the preceptorship and function. Okay. And the other thing is you can retrain. I think I'll speak, that is in another slide. Yeah. Once you get in, right. Like I said, your OSCE, your CBT does not translate to employment unless you have the visa of skilled worker. Okay. And with the employment, they'll support you. They'll get you the visas. They get you everything only when you've passed. Until you have passed, you'll be supernumerary and you still be classified as international educated nurses. I talk about the employment contract. So you're on band 3, which is our healthcare assistant. So you are not officially on the register. All of that, all of the things that you have passed from how many years you've been doing it to get to being employed to do your OSCE, you are still not officially on the register, okay? And then once you pass, you convert to, you then become a registered nurse. And then the hospital or nursing home, wherever you are, can apply for your indefinite leave to remain. Again, that is thousands of pounds. Okay, right, next one. Okay, so there are some updates. I just want to make sure that I've talked about the number of attempts and you have to pass within 6 months. So I got a message to repeat that, so I'll repeat that at the end. Yeah, let me leave this and then repeat it when I'm summarizing.
Can I just say, the slides on my end, they've been, I don't know, they seem to have been somehow defaced due to an annotation. So if anybody does want these slides later, I've asked that you email in, I'll make sure that you get them. So very sorry for that, but do continue, please, Mary. Mary, where are we going?
Maybe it doesn't seem to be there anymore. I don't know what happened.
Oh. Before, she's come back now. Are you back? Before Mary comes back, if you've got questions again, because she's gone through some very detailed and specific steps that are very, very relevant. Again, we've said, please send your questions in. We will get them to her if she's not able to answer them at the end of this session. Mary, are you back with us, please?
Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Yeah, so I'll recap on the steps.
Thank you.
Times and what will happen if you pass and if you don't pass. Okay, so some updates. During the pandemic, those who's been in the country and haven't done their OSCE, they were encouraged to join the temporary register. Okay, remember I said you are not on the register until you pass your OSCE. Right, so they invited them to join the temporary register because those people and our student nurses were required to help with the pandemic. And that is something else to bear in mind if you are looking to come to the UK especially, okay? There are different things that will happen and you might be excited, elated, but it's not what it seems like on the surface. So because when you are invited on the register and everything, your initial thinking is, I'm giving my time, I'm exposing myself to risk, I should be able to just go, become a nurse at the end, because actually you are doing more than is expected at that time. But good, I've got news. The temporary register is closed. And not only is the temporary register closed, they've said everyone on that register should go and finish their OSCE and pass their OSCE before being, admitted into the register. Now, don't forget that all of that time, they weren't actually being clinical. They were in a situation where they are needed, they are given instructions, they are most of the time told what to do. So that means that your OSCE period is being extended.
Yes.
But I don't think they told anybody that at the beginning. When they wanted when they wanted them to join the register. Yeah. So welcome to our whole world. Yeah. Now they've decided that they're going to start. They've decided they're going to start the tests again on the 19th of September, which is next week, I believe. Right. So for those who have booked their CBT and they've not been able to do it, they can start from 19th of September, but there's a backlog. I put that at the end because for every point here, there's a backlog. Okay, and those who have passed between March and December, okay, so say you go back to your clinical area now, you start your process of OSCE again, and you pass by December, or those who have passed before the pandemic, but I mean, I don't know why they just do not register those who passed in March. Okay, but the thing will be that, every focus was shifted to coronavirus. So that's it. So, ideally, once you pass your OSCE and CBT, you need to find a job. Or, well, I'll just find a job because this is the basis of it. The wording has be registered, okay? But whether they will register you without your employer or wherever you are doing your OSCE saying, yes, after registration, there's a job. It's a different thing, okay? Because I know people who has their decision and they've done that. In those days, if you trained in UCH, you don't need to do your adaptation because they were doing the same training as the nursing training here, according to their transcript. Okay, so now they've extended by 6 months. And so it means that you have until 9 months, June next year, thereabout, or March next year, to be absorbed into the register. Okay. And I said it before that being sponsored doesn't guarantee that you'll be allowed to come here or to stay. You have to do your homework very well and know the difference between sponsorship licenses from the independent recruiters and actually the ability to get you a Tier 2 visa. They are two different things. Even if you're a UK British citizen and you passed all of that and you are here on sponsorship because you are a British citizen, you still need to be able to find an employer to say, yes, come on board. Once on the register, you can choose to specialize. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while. But I always say that, A, we all have in us the ability to be the best we can. And please don't forget that. And B, knowing where you are going and how to get there is priceless. So once you're here, map your journey, surround yourself with value-added people, know where you're going, invest in your personal and professional development. And the rest, any other thing, obstacle, discrimination, whatever, we find their own place as you progress. You can follow another career pathway. I know people who are graduates of engineering. I've interviewed them because they just finished their nursing training. After a few years, they go back to the engineering. I know nurses who train to be doctors. I know doctors, surgeons who train to be anesthetists and health. The good thing is here, there's so many things you can do. Once you have that, the skills and knowledge, and you can build on it. And I put terms and conditions apply because at every stage, there are different things that you have to fulfill. It's not that you come in, you work 6 months in this area and you say, I want to become this tomorrow. No. And that's why I've said those things that I've said. And again, there are lots of fees to pay. So bear that in mind as well. And with every visa comes the fine print, no recourse to public fund, which some people don't actually know the implication. Okay, it may mean that you depend on people back home for some time. It may mean that, and I would advise people that when you are preparing for your OSCE, limit the agency and bank, because you know what, it's expensive, I know, because I look after these people firsthand, but pace yourself, because if you focus on the agency and bank and whatever, and you fail your OSCE once, twice, then where you are going will become more difficult. So what I was saying about okay, I was asked to expatiate. Okay, so the CBT, you have 3 attempts with 10 days in between, and you have to pass it within 6 months. Okay, it will lapse. If you don't pass it within 6 months, it will lapse, and you have to start again from eligibility, from uploading this and that. And the other thing is, don't forget your occupational health. Okay, if somebody sent you, if somebody sends you something on a stamp and they cannot trace that hospital or clinic in whichever country you are coming from, that may send you back to the beginning, even when you are doing your OSCE. Okay. And the thing is, it's not because we are Africans. Some of the last group that came to us, she's European, but she had to go somewhere else because she cannot cope with that. And even we were flexible with our timetable and everything. So, right. So it will lapse. Be mindful that it will lapse. If unsuccessful on the 3rd attempt, your application will close. Then you have to wait another 6 months. And don't forget that if an employer brought you here with the visa and you're having all this problem, they can ask you to go, okay, because you are costing them money. They don't want you to be supernumerary for too long. That's why we came up with the idea of the boot camp, okay, because it's costing them money. You're occupying a place that they could actually put a qualified nurse who will do more. Although they are using you in a way, but you know, there's the limits to what they can. So you need to pay for all the tests. And what you need your current valid passport, the birth certificate, qualification and registration certificate, and everything that is required. Now, these people are of the opinion that, oh, you are coming to the UK, they don't know. They do know. That's why they have people like us on, you know, in that space, you know, to check, to double check, and to know. So everything that will make you valid. I use you now because you are presenting yourself. Make sure you have them in place. Even before you start your eligibility, don't let anybody come and tell you, you know, you are coming next week, this is what you need, we what you need. Make sure you do your due diligence. And then there's the DBS. And DBS is for those who have been here. If you have been here for more than 3 months, and for whatever reason, you are just starting your OSCE or CBT or whatever, or you want to get on their register, they'll do a DBS on you. And interestingly, even sometimes, especially if you are not fully resident here, and I'm sure Jennifer and her team will testify to you this and be able to guide you, something from being stopped or penalty notice or whatever can actually affect your check. So in as much as
criminal offenses, minor criminal offenses may affect you, so it's very important.
Yeah. So yeah. So even though you are here, you got your best friend, auntie, and whatever, and they said, relax, and thing is coming. Be mindful who you work with, move with. Be mindful where you find yourself. Somebody said about the IELTS, you know, it's in the grading. And before now, you have to score 7 in the grading. But now they've moved it back to 5, okay? So it make you wonder why, you know, it's set at that level and now it's at this level. And for me, my interpretation will be that it means you now have to work twice as hard, because that is to let you in, let you through the net, okay? And then when you come to OSCE, you know, you begin to find, oh my God, and I passed my IELTS and what I put hype there because I see this all the time, and I'm just, I don't know what word to use, tired, upset, or whatever. People, they put so much hype on it, like once you've got this, the world is your oyster. Even when you pass your OSCE, it's just the beginning. That's why I bracket the hype, okay? Yeah. And that's what I mean by the scoring was 7, now you can score 5. It's like saying in every exam you have to score 60 to go to the next class. And now they are saying if you score 40, it's okay to go to the next class. That is how I can put it simply. I think that is me. You can follow me, Mary Akangbe, on Twitter, Instagram, Zenith Global Health on Twitter, Instagram, and we're doing a lot of work with Africa anyway. We're doing lots of webinars and things like that around healthcare with focus on Africa as well, that will help people, you know, who are coming from all over and people who are here already actually to be able to get used to learning, training, and other clinical training, infection prevention and control, and, you know, communication skill, resuscitation, little things that will matter to you. And with time, and I would advise as well that once you get a place of employment, please look into advancing your skills. I mean, basic skills, not jumping. Even if you're on a certain grade for a while, but while you are there, advance your skills, basic skills that you need to be able to put you in par. And don't go and, one of the things I did for the trust, I'm used to do, and sometimes I still do it at the department level, but for the trust, is to make sure that when people come from the, you know, from anywhere outside of the UK, they are able to blend at the initial stage, even if it's like doing little things like how to do the suction, how to switch this on, or how to make sure that you present yourself as being part of the team. I don't think there's, I want to know if this applies only for nurses or, yeah, this is, okay. So I believe I missed Professor Jaisimi's presentation, but I'm sure you must have talked about PLAB and the rest of it. But this process that I've analyzed, apart from the, actually up until the OSCE, is applicable to other healthcare professionals as well. Because this UK Type 2 visa is for skilled workers. So that's doctors, nurses, engineers, whatever they need. It's a blanket visa, but there are processes that will be different. Yeah, social worker is the same. Yeah, social worker is the same. And if you don't find a social work, and that's why I said you can always find a transfer window, because I believe, having trained in Nigeria, most of the advanced things around health, you know, start with nursing. Then you go to do public health, HIV, this and that. So are not on the list, but they are. Nigeria is on the recruiting list. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
I just answered somebody's
questions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more, and I'm definitely going to keep them all. Those of you who've asked questions that have not been answered, please email in and ask and direct who your question is to be asked at. I'm going to circulate the questions amongst all the panelists here today to make sure that your questions are answered. It's imperative to me that if you do this right. And all of you, or anybody who knows me, knows that I will always use my best endeavors to make sure that's so. So I'm checking to see if Mr. Matthew Odia is still on the group.
Yeah, I'm on here.
Okay. Do you want to have a few words about your paper? I've got it there. If you want to go through it briefly. Let me just share screen. And it's really to explain to people why there is this need now of healthcare professionals in the UK. So he's just going to talk briefly, and he's somebody that would be able to help you here at Obaseki Solicitors. Go ahead, Matthew, if you introduce yourself briefly.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Thank you for joining this session. Just bear with me while I try and put this up as well. It's kind of hidden somewhere. Just bear with me. So I will be talking about briefly about migration to the United Kingdom. For those who will be using this route, or who have someone who is interested in, using this route to come into the United Kingdom to work in the healthcare sector, which is the Tier 2 health and care visa. And then my presentation will just be centered basically on that, but obviously it may sometimes generate questions that may, dovetail into other tiers, and then we'll be able to entertain that when it comes to the question and Q&A session. Okay, I am Matthew, as I've been introduced. I'm a training solicitor with Obaseki Solicitors. I've been with Obaseki now for 4 years, and my experience has been in immigration, employment, currently in doing property seat, and then I've also done housing and a few other family work. So prior to this, I've also done work in other sectors before coming into law. So I'm more or less a crossover person. I've worked in asset management, and I also worked in customer service for quite some time while I was studying. And also I'm an author, so I've worked with charities that work with young people. So that's just a bit of my background, but if you want to know more, when you follow me on social media, visit my page, which I will provide later. You'll be able to find more information about me. Okay, if you Google my name, obviously a lot of information will come up. I'm one little person you cannot hide. Anyway, so back to just by way of introduction, we all know the coronavirus pandemic has, among other things, revealed how important
You're muted, Mike.
the United Kingdom is not immune to this, from especially as a country with an aging population of over, from the statistics, 11.8 million, representing about 80% of the entire population, going by the 2016 statistics. So this current aging population is predicted to hit about 25% of the population in a decade from now, with NHS England reporting that in 2019 alone, over 400,000 people are currently living in care homes, without discounting those who may have been affected by coronavirus deaths, or those currently in the hospitals. So a country with such a population in the care homes, as you all know, we require a lot of trained care workers in the healthcare industry to provide the appropriate care. It becomes more challenging now that the UK have left the EU bloc, where approximately in 2019 had about 6% of EEA nationals working across different NHS hospitals and care homes in various roles, while non-EEA nationals, like those from Africa and the Caribbean, and accounted for about 8% of the workforce in the NHS. However, recently we've seen the United Kingdom losing its place as a preferred destination of EEA nationals, as UK exits the European Union on 31st December 2020. And the massive gap in that healthcare sector may not be able to fill by people from within the UK labor force. So this is where there is some benefit for non-EEA nationals who may be wishing to come to the UK to work in the healthcare sector. So, but to attract those who may fill this potential gap and address the workforce shortage, as you all know, many of these healthcare positions are on the occupation shortage list. So to address it, the British government has now introduced a new visa route, which started opened in August 2020 for healthcare workers from outside the European Economic Area and Switzerland to work as doctors, nurses, care workers, and all the other social care providers. So what do you require to, can you be eligible, to, come on this route? You have to have a job offer from an NHS or other care provider, providing medical services to the NHS. You have to come from outside the European Union area and Switzerland. Your sponsor should confirm you are eligible, although you should note there are other routes. You may be eligible under the immigration rules if you do not qualify under this tier 2 route. Should that be something that may be of interest to you, we are able to offer you consultation on your options because it's a case-by-case specific. So the certificate of sponsorship will be required. You will be required to obtain one from a licensed sponsor. And the certificate of sponsorship will contain the full details about your role and the start date. We understand now that you may be able to even start if once you get a sponsorship certificate of sponsorship, you may be able to start before the date, the date. So that is another advantage. So apologies. Is everyone still hearing me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I'll just continue. Okay, it's just, I don't want it to be just one way alone, okay? So to be sure that you're following, okay? So estimated time, although applicants are advised to apply at least 3 months before the start date of their employment. We know this is not always possible, but a decision will normally be provided by the Home Office 3 weeks after you have submitted your biometric information at the closest UK visa center in your country. As you all know, it is not free. There are always fees, applicable to it. So to apply for this visa, you will be required, if you apply for a visa of up to 3 years, it does cost £232. If you're applying for a visa that's more than 3 years, that costs £464. And this is just the application fee alone. If you're coming with a dependent, maybe a dependent, someone who could be your child or your spouse or partner, or your parent, you will also be required to pay that same amount for each of them to make an application. And please remember, although you have to pay these fees, the positive news about it is that there is no requirement to pay an immigration health surcharge for this particular visa that has been introduced. However, if you are going to use an immigration solicitor like ourselves to process your application, there will be some legal fees to pay us to be able to prepare it for you. I'll tell you at the end what we will do for you if you decide to use an immigration solicitor like ourselves. The visa duration usually permits the individual to live and work in the United Kingdom for a maximum period of 5 years and 14 days, or the entire time stated on your certificate of sponsorship plus 1 month. Please also note, extension is available for up to another 5 years, provided your total stay is not more than 6 years. The visa will also allow you to work for your sponsor in the role described. Bring your family members or dependents with you. You can also study while you work. Unlike a visitor's visa, you'll be able to do voluntary work, unlike a visitor's visa that sometimes may limit you. Then you can also take on a second job, but that is in limited circumstances because you are required first to work for the employer that is on your certificate of sponsorship. But should you require a second job, then that is also possible. But please note, if you come on this route, under this route, you may not be able to get public funds. So that should be something you should be at the back of your mind, okay? Except in exceptional cases, which we can look at on a case-by-case basis, okay? And how can we assist you at Obaseki Solicitors? Obaseki Solicitors are specialists in immigration, property, human rights, litigation, criminal litigation, housing, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime, and international trade. At Obaseki Solicitors, we pride ourselves with the work we do for our clients, and have done so for decades in our community, and that's why we get a lot of referrals from our community and even from agencies who need our assistance. Immediately we receive your instruction, the success of your application becomes a priority. That has always been my guiding principle in our work. So we have highly dedicated professionals and qualified lawyers from dual jurisdiction who are experienced in all areas of UK immigration law and human rights law, committed to delivering quality service with a personal touch. That you get once you happy to instruct us. We will provide you legal advice on your options, particularly if your application is not going to be a straightforward one, and explore other routes, both within the immigration rules and outside of the rules, that may be applicable to you or any of your dependents if you're applying with them. And once you've secured your certificate of sponsorship, you may now instruct us, and we will apply our expertise in ensuring your application is properly completed online. We also ensure your documents are submitted to the Home Office application portal promptly, so you don't have to really do much. All you just need to do is to send us those documents by email, which we are happy to upload. You only keep your passports, that's all you be required, and the documents we will send to you at the end after uploading all your relevant documents to the UK visas portal. And we will also go ahead to book a biometric appointment for you in your own country. And this we do in collaboration with you, because it has to be at a particular date that is convenient for you. So we will be on the phone while we do that with you. Okay, so should you require our assistance to do this, or you want to explore your other options if you do not qualify under this route, there are a lot of various options especially now that we live in the EU, that we may be able to explore with you. We don't rule out anything, so your case, don't think that because you don't qualify for one route, there may not be other routes. There may be things that we may be able to advise you to do. It could be 3 months down the line when you do it, then you will not be able to come under other routes. So what matters is that if that's what you want to do, you want to migrate to this country, you speak to an immigration advisor who is experienced in doing this work. And this we've done for quite a long time, and I believe we get a lot of good positive feedbacks. So if you ever want to speak to us, our information or how to reach us will be placed on the screen before we leave. And thank you all for your listening. I hope I've not bored you with my, with my presentation, but I am happy to take any questions when the moderator permits. And thank you all for listening. Over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. Now, at this stage, I'm seeing that there's still people who are being admitted. I'm going to actually go through a brief synopsis of what people have said through through some slides that I've also done for you. I'm going to again request, because I'm seeing the questions come in, do we assist people in getting the certificate of sponsorship? No, we introduce you to people who potentially could, But you must remember what Ms. Akangbe said to you earlier, which is that you have to be aware of what sponsorship the individual or organization has. In the UK, the NHS Trust is your main body in employing doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals. There are private clinics, however. Apart from private hospitals and private clinics, we also have care homes. Apart from care homes, we also have children's homes and children's facilities. So it's very important you understand the organization that's going to actually act as your employer and who is also going to act as your sponsor for the Tier 2 visa. So I'm going to quickly go through these slides and hopefully that will help you again. And I'm still going to go back to the questions because we still have our closing speaker, Mrs. Ruth Ashinkelu, at the end, who's going to go through pertinent information that will help you in one, career progression, two, adjusting. And again, this is Ruth MBE. I like to call her Big Sis, and believe me, the information she will be giving you is I would say superfluous to none. It's important that you stay. So without much further ado, I'll quickly go through this particular slide with you, or set of slides rather. And it really is like a recap of what you've really heard. And now you've heard about the very important statistics as to why the UK may be a destination of choice for you. We understand that there is also the requirements or requests to many people coming from UAE, Canada, Australia. The reason why we focus on the UK is because it's an area that we are experts. I do have an agent and who's a lawyer qualified in both jurisdictions in Nigeria and also in Canada who works for us. That is Mrs. Adun. So she helps with the people who want to go to Canada as a place of choice, a destination of choice. Australia, I don't have agents, but we will also seek to guide you so that we don't see mistakes like the 50 doctors and nurses stopped on the plane. But for the UK, yes, I would say that we're experts with almost 20 years experience. Now, when it comes down to who can come, you've heard it before, must be a foreign doctor is defined as somebody coming from a country outside the EEA and Switzerland, and you've seen what practicing certificate or qualification you must hold, okay, within your jurisdiction. And it's very clear that you must hold that. It's not, in the UK, everything what you do with an application is about show and tell. It must be as defined in the request. You can't sit down and say, I studied medicine up to this level, 300 level, and something happens. No, it must be as prescribed, okay? Also, you see at the General Medical Council, doctors must display basic level of competence. And when we talked about the exams that was advised by the second speaker, there is that distinction between doctors and nurses as to the qualification and conversion exams. So again, if you have questions on this point, you can, again, email them through. But doctors who don't hold licenses cannot undertake clinical work when it comes down to coming and working in the UK. Doctors can only apply for license to undertake clinical work once they have registered with the General Medical Council as well. And the requirements for these registrations, please take your time and do them. The last thing we want you to do is waste time and money. So it's essential that you take up your own responsibility to do your due diligence, but at the same time, if you have questions, if you feel you have hurdles, we will endeavor to point you in the right direction so that you actually meet the full eligibility and do things in the right manner. Never good to rush into things, especially something like this. Okay?
Well, everything.
Somebody who's not muted their microphone. If you're not talking, please do mute your microphone. Okay. Now, let me just stop this person who is I think I've got that person muted. Okay, brilliant. Sorry. Okay, now the visa process. in order for you to commence, you must show that you've got the certificate of sponsorship by the NHS or any other hospital that actually offers or has the Tier 2 sponsorship license. So if you're offered a job or you're being offered this opportunity, you must make sure that the organization actually has the authority to offer you the position and be your sponsor for immigration purposes and the Tier 2 license. So it's very, very important. And a foreign doctor can submit the visa application 3 months to the date that they entered and traveled into the UK. It's very, very important that timelines are kept to with immigration. Otherwise, you thwart your opportunity and you also may end up losing money. So as it was explained by my colleague, you have the fees there. For 3 years, £232. And then for more than 3 years, you have that fee of 464. And it actually does also go up if you have a number of dependents that actually go on your application as well. So for any adult person that you intend to bring as your dependent, you actually have to pay that same amount, okay? So the 2-year visa can be granted for 5 years in 2 places. So it goes 2.5, 2.5. The foreign doctors can, at the end of that, apply for settlement. So that's for indefinite leave to remain in the UK. Again, here it's outlined what the doctors can do and what they can't do and what they're eligible for, okay? Nurses. Now, as you heard the panelists that spoke before, you've got the details of what can happen with regards to nurses in the UK. Sorry, there's somebody banging my door. So as you can see there, you've got the NHS Trust and the fact that they as well have to offer the Tier 2 license, and the relevant checks will be carried out. And part of the relevant checks was the DBS, as was mentioned by the previous speaker, and also nurses' level of experience. As was stated before, you can come and you can increase your skills and experience once here. You can study, you can volunteer, which you can use to help enhance your qualifications. So even if you feel that you are limited, the fact that there is such a desperation at the moment, if you manage to get yourself a sponsor, you manage to get yourself the job offer, when you do come in, you can then seek to how you expand your own personal self-development. And that's why I started with that, because people often forget that working, as was mentioned by Mary Akangbe, you feel that there's this pressure on you, there's the cost of living, you go from agency to bank work, doing your core work, and sometimes you get lost and you don't think about your own personal career aspirations. So that's why I started with that and want to remind you to keep that as a focus. Now, again, we've gone over the requirements. English language is also a very important thing. And we have our everyday speaking back home in Nigeria. We speak a lot of Pidgin, and sometimes coming here it may also require a bit of adjustment. So again, you have the written English as well, tests, and the effective communication. So it might take time even for you, and I've seen a lot of nurses that like, oh God, I speak English, why is there this issue? At times there can be some little barriers, and so I love the idea that in your Ms. Akangbe's NHS Trust there's a boot camp, and if you feel uncomfortable with this particular requirement, you might want to speak to your mentor and get a mentor that can help you overcome that particular hurdle. Again, you have to register with the Nursing and Midwifery Council if you're a nurse, the NMC, and Zenith Healthcare is a brilliant organization that can help guide you along this particular path as well. So if you have any issues, questions with regards to compliance within your profession, you can look to them for answers to your particular questions about compliance. Now, again, bringing your dependents, very, very crucial question. We get asked that a lot within the practice. especially after a few years and after one's got comfortable within their role. Very keen that they bring their family, those who they're responsible for back home in Nigeria, to the UK to be with them. But you must bear in mind the fact that there is the cost. And also, if it's going to also distract from your work, you've got to have that good work-life balance. It's not good to bring people into an unsettled situation. Otherwise, you will equally unsettle yourself and your work. So bear that in mind. Now, I think we can safely move on to the question and answer session. So before I do that, I want to again remind people of some of the key things that we've spoken about. The fact that you have to be mindful. Sometimes, and from what I've been hearing, a lot of money changes hands unnecessarily in Nigeria, and that gives me concern. Do not be exploited. Okay, do not allow yourself to be exploited. It's very keen, or I'm very keen to make sure that doesn't happen. Apart from the fact that I'm a very, very proactive, passionate Nigerian woman that practices here, it's important that people do things the right way. When you do things the right way, you're less likely to have problems. So again, please bear these things that we've stated in mind. So can we move on and look, I don't know, within the chat, whether you've got, I can look at this one from here, Mr. Olatunji. If you're here, Mr. Olatunji, can you unmute yourself and maybe address everybody with your question? Mr. Olatunji? Oluwaseun? Is he there? Mr. Olatunji? Well, his question is, good afternoon, please, I need more clarification as to the current IELTS requirement. And that's from the NSC.
Yeah, that's the right score. The only right score.
You mentioned the NMC, and you mentioned band 5. I checked on Google. Now I found it 7 with a band score of 6.5 in writing. Mary, is that a question you can quickly answer before we go on to Ruth as a final presenter?
Okay, so that's what I said to you is the update.
Yes.
And it's the latest. And I read that comment, and I just want to say that be careful of Google.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah, you know, if you go on Google now, it wouldn't tell you that the tests are starting on the 19th of September. If you go on Google, it wouldn't tell you that the register is closed. But your friends and some sponsor or these independent recruiters will tell you that, oh yeah, we get you on the register. You see what I mean? So I'm not saying it's not on Google, but I'm giving you the information that I have currently, okay?
Thank you.
And you know, today is Saturday, it may be Monday, and they've been working on it in the last 2 days, and they say, you know what, we've got enough. You don't want to let more people in. Let's raise it or let's lower it further or whatever. But the latest updates is what I've given to you in my presentation.
Thank you so much. Now, before we go on to any more questions, we have to bring in our final speaker. And to me, I will say the first time I met her, I was sitting down, gone to an event that I had helped sponsor to do with Nigerian nurses. And I went there alone as a busy mum. Sometimes, you know, I run out of the house quickly. And I sat next to her, and believe me, I had a wonderful evening. And I ended up giving her an award. And believe it or not, the same thing happened a few months later. I ended up sitting next to her, all excited, happy to see her again. And then I ended up again giving her another award. So again, Miss Ruth Oshinkalu, MBE, please. Thank you for honoring my invitation today. And if you can, please introduce yourself to those who are here on the seminar today, who, again, thank you all for joining. And can you please give them your few words, nuggets of wisdom, so that it can be encouraging to them as they make their decisions about their career journeys, and especially if they're going to be coming to the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much for the invitation to speak. I will need a favor though. I need you to please get my slides and put them up.
Of
This
course.
means I have one less thing to worry about.
Yes.
So I could be fully engaged. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Jennifer and Obaseki Solicitors, to speak on the webinar. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Ruth Oshikanlu. I'm a nurse, I'm a midwife, I'm a health visitor. I'm also a mentor. I'm passionate about supporting nurses and midwives, especially because I'm here today because of so many people that helped me get to where I am, you know, who've been mentors, they've been coaches to me. So I also am a mindset coach because I think a lot of what we do and who we become happens, you know, with our thoughts. And, you know, I'll be talking about envisioning what you want, preparing yourself for the challenges ahead, because some days it would feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or sometimes 1 step forward and 2 steps back. I'm an author. I love to learn. I love to share, you know, what I've learned.
I
So
want to sit down somewhere else.
Phoebe, oh, can you please mute everyone?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find them.
I'm not gonna be whoever she. I'm not gonna be.
Sorry about that. I think I've got them there. Okay.
Okay, I've unmuted myself. And I'm the MD of a company called Goal Mind, and it's a coaching consultancy. Because again, I just felt that a lot of us didn't have access to coaching, and so I thought, you know what, be the change you want to be, and I built one and support so many nurses. I set up and run a community of practice for nurses and midwives, Black nurses and midwives, to ensure that they get the opportunities in their career to progress. So I will be complementing a lot of what has been said. I will be going over some of what has been said. Sister Mary Akangbe started with the process, um, and I will be focusing on the mindset and ensuring that, you know, you have a seamless transition, hopefully to the UK or whatever country you decide to go to, preparing for that journey and then succeeding at it. One thing I wanted to stress was the IELTS, it lasts only 2 years, so before it expires. So that's often where you start and then you do it, but the process could be so drawn out that it may expire. So just be mindful of that. That's the only thing I wanted to add to what has been said when it comes to process. So if you go to the next slide, please. Jennifer, I need your help. Yes, so culture change and expectations. Professor Jaisimi started and prepared us for the culture change. Because research, you can't go wrong. Research, research, research. There's never too much information. So whatever country you're going to, research, research, research the culture. So many people get into trouble. They find, you know, what we do and is acceptable in Nigeria may not be acceptable in the countries we're going to. So it's very important that you do that research. We all believe we speak English, you know, and I think we speak Queen's English, but again, language in different countries, even the spellings, if you go to the States, you know, the way things are spelled is so different, and the meaning of the words we use differ. So learn the language basics so we don't run into trouble. Even terms we're used to. I trained in the UK, but I can talk about this because I came here in my late teens and it was so difficult for a few years, just by being a younger person, you know, to adjust. I was missing life in Nigeria because that's all I knew. But I have worked with so many nurses and midwives that came to Nigeria, and even the acronyms we use, you know, they're so different, and they come and they think, what does that mean? And then they'll say, oh, we call it something else in Nigeria. So just be careful of that and be mindful of that. Periodically, we will get homesick, especially when things don't go to plan. Often when we come from big families, big communities, and it could be quite isolating here. So just be mindful of that. Please take time to develop a vision. You know, that vision is what will keep you going through the challenging times. So ask yourself, where do you want to be in 5 years? You know, 3 years, next year, then break it down to months, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months. And that would help you stay on track despite the challenges. Then set goals. You know, what do I need to do? Who do I need? Whose assistance do I need? Because this is one journey you would not be taking by yourself. If you want it to be easy, get all the support you need and go with your eyes open. Speak to people who've done it before, so you don't need to make the same mistakes they made, and that would enable you to have a seamless journey. But be flexible and be adaptable. Because somebody did something doesn't mean it would work for you. So be flexible, be adaptable. You know, it's not our country. You know, you're coming to a foreign country and it's quite challenging. You know, and the rules keep changing. Today something may be okay, tomorrow it's changed. And it does take a while to quickly adapt, adjust, you know, and also be mindful of the laws and the culture. The number of nurses I've had to support because, oh, we did this in Nigeria. My day, you're not in Nigeria. You know, you're in the UK and the laws will be enforced. So just be mindful that you know what the laws are. I wanted to talk about culture shock because sometimes that affects us. When we first come to a place, there's this honeymoon phase because we've got here, we're so excited. Oh God, I'm in the UK. I could do this, I could do so much. And then before long, the scales drop off our eyes and then we realize it's not plain sailing, it's hard work. And then we start to get frustrated. I've been here since my late teens. I spent the first 5 years of my life here. But you know what? One thing you get reminded of is your color. In Nigeria, we're all black. Color is not a big thing. The first time a patient called me, "Oh, you black," you know, something. I was shocked. It was only then the realization hit that I am not, you know, I am black. And you know, people with the ignorant views would voice them. And the frustration, you're having to work twice, 3, 4, 5 times as hard. I didn't get to where I got to, you know, just plain sailing. It was hard. I had to prove my worth. I had to work twice as hard. And eventually, after a while, we can get frustrated. Maybe you've been working at a very senior level in Nigeria and having to come right back, to, you know, down and be managed by people who don't even know as much as you. But it's part of the journey. Then eventually we adjust, we go up. It's almost like a roller coaster. We adjust. Oh no, you've gone too far. I will tell you when to move. Yeah. So I'm just going through that, you know, that roller coaster ride. And then we get optimistic. Maybe we move a bit, you know, someone recognizes our worth. But again, then we get stuck again when we get to, you know, the deeper cultural issues, the personal issues start to surface. Sometimes your manager doesn't like you just because they don't like you, not because of what you bring to the party. And eventually we adjust, we adapt, and we assimilate. And it's a process. But if you know that it's going to be one of highs and lows, you can start to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally from the start. Then the next one, please. Yeah, so that just shows how we adapt culturally. There's six steps there. Oh God, it's so small on the, let me go to speak to you and see if that helps. Are you able to read that for me, Jennifer? For some reason, it's so tiny on my screen. No, can you zoom it? Normally if I'm the one, no, the next one with the green slides.
I can help you.
Yes, please, sir, because it's so tiny. I don't know why it's so tiny on my screen.
Number one, learn as much as you can about the culture beforehand.
Yes, sir. So I just thought I'll bullet point everything. So learn more about the UK, what life is in the UK, you know, ask people who've moved to the UK and the challenges they've had. So if you can please go to number 2. It's so small on my screen.
Number 2, build support networks as soon as you arrive.
Excellent. So again, any journey we go through, you know, the more people supporting us, you know, get, as Professor Rotimi spoke about earlier, get a mentor, get a coach, and that work to build a support community. Find the support groups, and I'll be talking about how to find them once in a few more slides. And number 3, sir.
Focus on the positive aspects of the new culture.
Excellent. So it's so easy to focus on what's not working, but with every challenge we have, there's so many positive things we can learn and grow from. And number 4, sir.
Seek out guidance from other international colleagues and friends.
Yes, so that's just recapping on what I had said before. Number 5, sir.
Give yourself time to adapt.
Yes, sometimes, because especially if we spend loads of money trying to get to a certain point, we want to recoup a lot of it quite quickly. But everything is the process, and time is often what we need to adjust. And finally, number 6, sir.
Retain a sense of humor.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So humor often is a very good medicine, you know, no matter how hard it is, just remember to still have a good time. Thank you, sir. Jennifer, can you move to the next slide? And I'll whiz through this because Professor Rotimi has spoken a lot about these things. So take ownership of your career and start doing that now, even before you come. Take ownership, get all the information, and please get them from trusted sources. You know, Google, yes, it's good to have Google for quick, you know, just quick to inform yourself quickly, but please, and I will show you good guidance. Unfortunately, it's mostly for nurses and midwives. I'm a nurse and a midwife, so I don't know a good resource for doctors. Make time to think about your career. Oh no, make time to think about your career, gathering as much information about your career, about the job prospects. You know, start to look for shadowing opportunities as soon as you arrive. Who can you shadow? Arrange informal visits so you get to know the organization you're going to be working with. Volunteer. Sometimes we like to get, but we don't always like to give. But the more you volunteer, the more you will get opportunities. You know, ask somebody, I want to shadow you. And then when you get here too, what you will be offered is one-to-ones and appraisals. Use that very well. Use your prospective employers, ask them the questions, you know, get things in writing. People make promises and then they renege on those promises. Make sure you get as much as you can in writing. Use your colleagues, use your peers. Ask for secondment opportunities. And as Professor Rotimi talked about, coaching and mentoring, get a good coach and a good mentor. So if you move to networking, Jennifer, please. Yeah, I've done that. The next one. Yes. So your network is your net worth. You know, often you may ask somebody they may not know, but they will often know somebody that knows. You know, and so get networking right from now. You know, one good way you could use, one good tool you could use is social media, Twitter. You know, follow the right people on Twitter, LinkedIn. Make sure you got a very good profile. Know what you want. Prepare. You know, attend networking events like today. You know, make sure there's always free events you can attend online. Go on Eventbrite, get all the information you need. If you go to the next slide, please. And these are some of the benefits of networking. You know, you get to advance your career, you get new ideas, you build confidence, you get career advice and support. Please, Richard. Can you please mute everybody? These are some of the things we need to learn, actually. The things like this, small things like this matter. You know, simple instructions, mute yourself, you know, and then you come to another country and you want to do the same. Unfortunately, it will be frowned on. Gain a different perspective, because the beauty of networking, you get ideas. I go to networking events and I think, oh goodness, I'd never thought of that before. You get a different perspective. Get to develop professional relationships with people. And often during networking events, you're able to find your next job opportunity. So it's an ongoing process. It's not something you do for a short while, but the beauty is if you embed it in your daily practice, it would serve you the whole of your career. So how do you find those networks? Next slide, please, Jennifer. Once you come here, it's always important to join a union. They support you because sometimes the legal fees may add up, but you can join a union. I'm a member, I'm a fellow of the Royal College of Nursing. And the beauty of those kind of associations is that they're half union, but they're also professional organizations. In fact, one resource I'll be sharing with you is a booklet that they've developed that you don't need to be a member of. You can Google it and you'll be able to see, it lists the whole process and shows you what you need to do if you're a nurse or a midwife. Join professional forums. You know, once you get in an organization as well, a lot of organizations have staff networks. Some would even have networks that support Black and minority ethnic staff. So, and there you'll be able to discuss some challenges. They often have training events and professional development events. Many countries have nursing associations. So as soon as you join one or a medical association to support you. And I said social media on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp. There's so many professional groups that use social media. But it's very important, stay up to date, keep in the loop, be inspired, be motivated, engage and network with your peers, and learn about those new exciting opportunities, initiatives. You don't need to make this challenging. If you go to the next slide. So this is the resource I was talking about. If you go on, this is one time you can go on Google and you will find it. It talks about international, so it's the Royal College of Nursing Guidance for international recruited nurses. And it's a very, it's well researched and it keeps changing. So they change it as quickly as the guidance changes. And it tells you the whole process. It tells you a bit about the union. It tells you about immigration. It talks about EE nationals. Then it talks about non-EEA nationals, and then talks you through the process, how to get here. It talks about the OSCE, the objective structured clinical examination. It talks about the ILTS. It talks about how to get, settled permanently. It talks about the visas. And the beauty of joining a union is the RCN does have an immigration department that can support you through the process. They don't help you. They're not they have a legal offer you guidance. Okay. And then it also talks about how to register with the NMC and what requirements are to register. It talks about the assessment, all the things you would need. It talks you through the whole application process, eligibility criteria, how to get registered on the NMC. It talks you through, it says about a 20-page booklet. And then it talks about fair recruitment, how to get job offers, all the things you would need, employment contracts, so that you can look at the fine print. You could ensure that it makes the process seamless. So this is one document I will suggest that you get, because it would definitely help you through the process. And I think that's my last slide. Thank you so much for your attentiveness. Thank you for listening. And I would entertain any questions. Jennifer, yeah, that's it. That's the last slide, Jennifer. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for joining. We've come to the end of all the presentations. If you do have questions for Ruth or Shinkalu, please put them in there. There was no audio, so some people had problems with the audio, it appears, but I could hear clearly. So that's what I was a bit distracted, because I could got messages of people saying no audio, but it seems to have just been a few. So I'm not sure what that was. I could hear you clearly. So ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our wonderful seminar. I intend to do this again next month. I intend to try and get the same panelists if they're available. If not, I might have to swap them up, but I hope and pray they will be. We'll try and get together and find a time. We'll also be reviewing your questions to see which ones were most popular, what ones were not answered, so that we can make sure that we identify what the key issues are and key barriers are. So that will also be beneficial for both us as presenters and those who are trying to help you, as well as yourselves. So thank you once again. If any of you as presenters want to round off by saying anything, I would like to come back to you briefly. So Professor Jayasimi, just a few words just to close, please.
Just a few. Thank you to you, Jennifer, and your team. My closing remarks will be: believe in yourself. God made only one of you. You're not a prototype. And for as long as you believe in yourself and equip yourself, you will do well. Stay within your professional boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Akangbe Mary, please. Unmute yourself, though. Thank you.
Do not lose sight of the power within you, because we all have that ability to be the best we can. And when we get here, from what we've heard from all of us today, you may find yourself in a situation of, can I do this? That is within you already, apart from the external, all other external factors. Well, be assured, be focused, surround yourself with value-added people. People have tried this place, road before, and they are successful. So you will be as well. That's the mindset.
Fantastic. And then also, Ruth, please, can you finally give us your few last words?
Thank you very much for organizing this session. I'm sure so many people will find it informative. Despite all the information and the knowledge I have, I still gleaned so much from it. So I'm sure everyone that has attended will too. So just to finish, I just wanted to leave you with a quote. It always looks impossible until it's done. So it may look hard when you're starting out, but at some point you will do it. Everything when we start, we could get overwhelmed. But just focus on the difference you want to make, those you want to serve. And remember, as you rise, take others with you. So you've been through the journey, make it easier for someone else to journey. You know, we're all where we are today because someone's created a path for us. Make sure as you walk that path, you don't wipe it off for somebody coming behind you. So enjoy the process, have fun, and we can't wait. If UK is the destination you choose, I can't wait for us to be working together. Well done.
Well, thank you all so much. I'm very, very delighted that so many of you registered to join the seminar. I hope you found it beneficial. And as I've said, I've implored to try and make sure that I've got to as many questions as I can. I can't get to you all. And if you do post to the emails, then we'll make sure that we feed back to the panelists. We also want to make sure that we improve these sessions if we do them again. And it's been more than 2 hours, so I'm going to end it now. But do join us once again. Do share the message. People can come to Obaseki Solicitors. People can go to Zenith and go to, what was your organization, Ruth? Your mindset organization?
Goal Mind.
Goal Mind. So these are organizations that are out there that can help them. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and stay blessed. Thank you so much.
Just to let people know, I've uploaded the document if they want. It's in the chat if they want to download it.
Oh, brilliant. So if you see in the chat there, within the chat, you can download the slides from...
so it's not the slides, it's the document from the RCA.
Oh, the RCA handbook. So you can get a lot of guidance there as to application, resources, information. There you go. Thank you also.
It's specifically for nurses and midwives.
Yeah. And for those of you who want to contact Professor Jayasimi, you can get him through his LinkedIn. So please, you can get him there. Thank you once again. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye all.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Of the weather. It's really nice out there.
Thank you all.
Bye. Nice seeing you all. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.